Hey, welcome to another episode. I'm Brian Roisentul, your host, and today we have a pretty interesting story. I'm going to interview Jake Rosenberg. He suffered a ski accident in 2019, leaving him with a scar on his face. At the time, he felt that there wasn't a solution for him because the products found were either impractical, marketed to women, or didn't address his needs. From there, he learned every aspect of an e-commerce skincare business, product development, supply chain management, and digital marketing to build a brand with performance at the core and with a simplistic design that could appeal to the modern man. Before talking to him, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. I mean, we get it. Customer acquisition costs are going up. There's lack of tracking and attribution is driving you nuts, right? And audience sizes are getting smaller and smaller after the iOS 14 update. If that wasn't enough, there are other factors such as the recession and supply chain issues, making it harder than ever to grow your e-commerce brand. That's why we need to understand that it's really important to level up the marketing and design a solid strategy, as what used to work doesn't anymore. At BSR Digital, we have been helping countless e-commerce brands that wanted to scale their business to a next level through paid ads and email marketing for over a decade. So if you want to learn more about us, visit bsrdigital.com and you can email us at hello@bsrdigital.com. Now, as promised, I have Jake here with me. Hey, man, thanks for being on the show.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I know you have a pretty interesting story. So why don't you share it with the audience?
Yeah, sure. So, in 2017, I was skiing. I've skied my whole life, and I was in Colorado. End of the day, I'm going down, and I hit some ice. My ski pops off, and it hits me right here, kind of like the sharp part, which is crazy because like that's not a normal ski accident. Normally, you hit a tree, you tear an ACL, whatever. I have a helmet and goggles on because I don't know, I always ski with that. And basically, it leaves me with a big scar on my nose here and here. Broke my nose a couple places. So, I had to get emergency room stitches and then cosmetic stitches. I had to stay out of the sun for a year and a half in Southern California, which is hard, microneedling, all this kind of stuff. And basically, it forced me to understand skincare, scar reduction stuff, concealer, face washes, because I had to be very careful about it. You can't really hide anything on your nose, like there's no hat, or like if it was up here, a hat or hair or something. So basically, I had to do whatever I could do to reduce the scar. And yeah, like I said, I used to be a bar of soap would cover it. You wash your face with that, but that doesn't work when you have like kind of an injury and you have to know what you're doing. So, my journey took me to Sephora and Ulta and all these other places where women buy skincare and cosmetics, and I had no idea what was going on. They have 9,000 products. They say words like beautify, contour, and brighten, and I'm like, no, I just want to heal this and then cover it. So once I finally did find the products that worked for me, I realized like, wait, there was no easy way for me to do this. These are high margin products. They're very easy to fulfill. It turns out that Southern California, where I live, is a hub of manufacturing, which is crazy because California is not a manufacturing capital of anything, but it is for skincare. So kind of the stars aligned, and I realized it was a great business to go into, and that if I could speak to guys the way they wanted to be spoken to, make it easy, talk about the performance of these products, how you're going to look good, you're going to feel good, and then give you one product that worked for your one issue, it would resonate. And so we started Krete in 2019, and yeah, the rest is history.
I mean, sorry to hear that, but I'm happy to hear that. I mean, the way you overcame the situation, because I would love to know what you felt the moment right after the accident and what you felt the moment that you came with the idea of creating the company too. Those
Yeah,
opposite.
so yeah, right after the accident, when it happened, it was kind of crazy. So I did martial arts my whole life. So you can kind of, when you get kicked in the head, you kind of snap into like a different mode. Like your adrenaline jacks up. You get very serious. It's almost like an out of body experience. Like there's no pain, there's no worry. You're just like, okay, how do I fix this? So, I was the last one on the mountain because I used to just ski all day, and it's 3:30 p.m. The lift is closed at 3:15. So, I'm on way in. So I'm dealing with this. I call ski patrol. I call the police. It gets me to ski patrol. Thankfully, like, hey Siri, call 911 worked because my hands were frozen from like dealing with ice and whatever. So yeah, I was just thinking, okay, first is like survive because it was not great. Then once I'm in the little zip up like toboggan thing, they like put you in a body bag and like, you know, sled you down the mountain, which was awful. But all I could think about was like, okay, I just need to take this step by step. First, get me down the mountain. Then they need to make sure I'm not like, in serious trouble. Then once that happened, okay, it's like the next day. Uh-oh, I'm gonna have a big thing on my face. What do I need to do? So it was kind of like stages of responses to the accident or issue at hand. But yeah, it was really a couple days later when I realized, okay, wait, this thing might be on my face forever. Like I might get asked questions about this forever. That's when the kind of confidence starts getting eroded. Like, oh no, I'm gonna look worse. I'm gonna feel worse. And the scar is a very difficult thing. It's not like, okay, I can go to the gym and get rid of this. I can wash my face more and get rid of this. It's like it's just there. To add another layer of annoyance, living in Southern California, there's sun almost every day. If you get too much sun on a scar, it will turn white. So it would be like very even more visible. So I have to now for the rest of my life be careful outside. I have to wear very, intense sunscreens and things like that. So I basically had the throw you into the deep end experience of like you really need to focus on your skin and specifically one specific part. So yeah, that was what brought me to wait a minute. There are products that would, if there was a company like Krete when I had this, I would have found it and it would have been like, oh my God, the few products they sell are the exact ones I needed. And we're not just talking about for like an accident. We're talking about just for daily skincare, to not have acne, to not have dry skin, helps with eczema, like all the things that guys have that they just don't really know that much about. Maybe they go to a doctor or eventually, or a girlfriend gives them a random product that kind of doesn't work and smells like, I don't know, rose water or something. And they're like, but I'll use it because I don't really know anything else. So I didn't want to deal with any of that, but I had to. So yeah, that's kind of was the reason to start Krete. Is like, man, if someone was just selling me a hyaluronic acid serum, that would have that helped my scar reduce dramatically. And I started using it on everything else, and like I haven't had dry skin, period, in years because of that.
I
And like
mean,
I used to have dry skin all the time. Yeah.
I think you said it better than I will, but I mean, as men, we don't pay attention to, these beauty products. There are a lot of them for women, not a lot of them for men. Plus, we don't understand how to use them. We just we don't use any of that, right? So
No,
do you do you think
we
that's
do other things. Yeah, we
sorry?
do other things to look good. We get nice haircuts, we shave, we go to the
Exactly.
gym, we wear nice clothing. So we like guys pay attention to how they look. It's just culturally we never paid attention to the skin part because it was easier. Guys don't have as many just like natural skin issues. And then also because women use cosmetics and makeup, those actually introduce a lot of skin issues that then they need to take care of. They need a makeup remover because they're wearing makeup. They then need an exfoliator because of guys have skin issues for sure, but they don't have the full range and intensity that women have because women sometimes it's self-imposed based off of the fact that they wear makeup every single day. That stuff is not great for you. So, if you're working out every day, you need deodorant more because you're sweating more. It's like it's not that complicated to kind of see the problem and the solution situation. But yeah, that's kind of why we did it. It's just like we want to make it easy. Our tagline is 30-second skincare. We don't want guys to have to know anything. Just come to our site in 30
I like
seconds, you'll know what's
that.
going on. Yeah.
That's great. So, many people listening or watching this episode, they, they might be looking to start their own e-commerce brand, or they might be in the early stages of their e-commerce brand, and they might be wondering, did you know anything? I mean, it's clear that you had a problem you wanted to solve, and there wasn't anything like that on the market. But did you know anything about building a product like this?
I knew a little bit here and there. I had a software company which helped me understand. It was a SaaS business. So that helped me understand just like, companies have to build products that people like to use, how to sell to people. That gave me various business fundamentals. Then I had a shoe company, and that was the real leap from software to physical goods, because that taught me about packaging. That taught me about it had some hardware in it, like printed circuit boards. So we had to learn about regulations behind batteries and those kinds of things. Taught me about fulfillment, supply chain, completely different type of business and software. So did I know a lot about skincare, the business of it, when I decided to go into this? No. But what I knew was that it was a small product that could be shipped to New York for a couple of bucks from Los Angeles. So basically, that meant we could offer free shipping. Small product means easier to fulfill, easier to store. It's a very high margin product, and the best part about the business is it's a repeat customer business. You know, with a mattress like Casper mattress, you buy a mattress. How soon are you buying another mattress? 5 to 10 years later. We have a monthly subscription for our flagship product, our facial serum. People buy it every month. So it's like, not only is it good margin and we come close to breaking even on the first purchase, so the second purchase for us is profitable. The third purchase is profitable, fourth purchase. So if someone's on for 6 months, we make a lot. So that's kind of, there were some fundamental parts of the business that were, oh my God, so much better than the shoe business we were in, which was doing well. But again, you sell someone a pair of shoes and you have like 2 or 3 types. It's like, okay, well, how do you get them to buy more and more and more? Lower price point, higher number of purchasers, but really getting people into a habit. That's what's really powerful. You know, Dollar Shave Club, they didn't really have the margins and they never really made a lot of money, but like people shave every day or every other day, or so they built into a habit.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of what we're trying to do is build into a habit, so we get a lot of repeat customers. And that's where the real explosive growth comes in, because if we know that if a customer comes in and they're going to buy at least 4 bottles, we can spend more money to acquire them because it's not a big deal, which means we'll win auctions on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and we can spend a little more on paid ads and beat competition because we know that they'll end up paying us back, the customers.
Exactly. I'd love you to tell me more about your biggest early challenges. I mean, back in the early days,
Yeah.
I'm sure you had challenges as everyone else who has built something, you know, a business. So what were yours?
The biggest early challenge was realizing that the skincare industry is stuck in 1987. I'm making up that day, but like, you know, it's just a legacy business like most other things. There's giant conglomerates. They have their factories that do things a certain way. They were so incapable of innovation. I mean, you know, all these places have their accelerator labs. They're just hoping to find a company that's doing $10 million in revenue and then they buy them, you know, or something like that. They don't actually come up with ideas from the ground up. So, you know, I would talk to contract manufacturers, which is the ones who would make concealer for us or try the things. They'd be like, okay, you either work with a formulator and it's $20,000 and takes 9 to 18 months to get a product to market. Like, that's not very startup friendly. Or you work with a large manufacturer that you pay basically nothing up front, but they own the formula. So you can never leave. It's like, yeah, you can leave when you pay us, when you've bought like $500,000 worth of inventory from us. It's like, well, then I'd be a huge company. And by that time, or not a huge company, but a bigger company, you'd have too much leverage over me. So that was basically, those were my 2 options. But of course, you know, I chose option 3, which was screw you guys, and formulated our first 2 products myself. I set up a lab in my apartment and, you know, did it. Probably spent $2,000, maybe $2,500 on ingredients and beakers and a couple of things. I made our first 2 serums, submitted them to the same labs that they use for all the testing. And so we passed all the international compliance tests and everything. And so, you know, we have a less than 1% return rate. So like nobody returns our stuff because they love it. It works great. So that was one of the early challenges was that. And then after we had 2 products launched, which we have now, you know, we were able to grow that. And now I'm at the size where I have more negotiating power with the formulators. I can say, hey, we want 5 more products. So instead of it being 20 grand each, let's do 10 grand each for 5, you know, something like that. Or with the contract manufacturers, I can say, well, we need the right to own the formula, but also you can start producing our 2 formulas tomorrow and we'll start making orders. So it just got us to a place where we had a lot more leverage and negotiating power. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy. I'm not not a chemist, but I never was a chemist. I was maybe an engineer or studied math and econ. But it's kind of one of those things where doing it yourself, you care a lot as long as you have the physical capability of doing it. For instance, concealer, that's too complicated chemistry for me to do in a lab I build. It's too precise. So that wouldn't have been a good product for me to try to do. But yeah, I mean, I do that with our contracts. I do that with our packaging design. I basically tried to learn stuff and develop the first version of it myself. And that kind of gets you either the knowledge to manage someone else or the leverage to be able to negotiate a better deal with the professional version of that.
You made it sound so easy, and I can barely cook a pizza. So I can't imagine setting up a lab
I
in
mean,
my
I'll break it down if you want. I mean, basically what happened was, yeah, everything to me is just a process of a similar kind of process of learning and execution. So whether it be a legal contract, it's like, okay, I need a manufacturing agreement. Let me go and Google templated manufacturing agreements. And then I read 3 of them or 4 of them. Yeah, it sucks. It's not fun. But what you do is you read them word by word. You say, okay, they all have an indemnification clause. They all have a term and terminate. Okay, and you start after a while, it's just about time. It's about time and focus. You can learn
Yeah.
anything. And so with the chemistry, what I did is I ordered 20, 30, whatever of the best moisturizers and serums and things out there. I tested them all. I said, okay, these are the 4 of the best. I put their ingredients list one by one in a spreadsheet. I Googled them individually. Okay, what is hyaluronic acid? Oh, it has molecular weights. What is that? Yeah, it took 2 months. It was a lot. I had to learn it. But then what ended up happening is I knew exactly what our products were. I knew what made them good and what would make them bad. I knew every raw material and what they would cost and the distributors. And basically, like, if our manufacturer's like, hey, we can't manufacture this anymore. Okay, I can go set up a lab next door and manufacture it myself professionally. So it just reduced some of the, it traded off things, it traded off convenience for control. We now have control of our own destiny. And in the startup, that's almost impossible to have. Obviously customers control the ultimate destiny. They need to buy your products and come back and the numbers need to make sense. But yeah, if you can control the manufacturing and building of it or have backup plans, it's very rare. There's a lot of stories you'll hear from entrepreneurs who are like, yeah, there's one from the founder, FOUNDR. She talks about how she ordered $1 million of like tea from China. It came and it was rotten. And like, okay, that was it. They had no recourse. They were out $1 million. It's like,
Yeah.
we're never going to be in that position.
Yeah. And something we have been discussing here a lot is that many, many entrepreneurs, and more specific, many e-commerce store owners are not that clear on their unit economics. They don't know what their numbers are really. Maybe they are making money and they don't know until it's too late, right? And the
Yeah.
same happens with their KPIs, and we can discuss that later. Sorry, but then you you had 2 options when you started, paying the big bucks or being,
Yeah, I'm
the,
having control. Yeah.
yeah, and you chose a third that you came up on your own, and that's what an entrepreneur does. So what do you think that every e-commerce founder listening to this should pay attention to?
Um, the first thing is also just to finish the last point. You can learn absolutely anything, and I mean literally anything on YouTube and Google, like anything. I learned how to do chemistry at a professional level in a month and a half because I cared. I Googled it. I put in the time and effort. So that's just kind of the summary of the last point. But again, how did I learn about unit economics? How did I learn about our supply chain? Googling it. You can literally Google and put into YouTube like, how do I start a skincare company? It sounds dumb, but like you'll see some videos and watch 5 of them. They'll be, 10 to 20 minutes long and you'll kind of have a general idea. And then when they say concepts you don't know, you Google and watch that. Like you just spend a couple of days and all of a sudden you go from having no idea to like, okay, I know the questions I need to have answered. That's the first step. Then you answer them. And of course, there's more questions with each thing. But yeah, to go back to unit economics, essentially I look at it as like a giant puzzle and everything needs to fit together because if your product is not making money, you're going to need outside money, which is, again, depending on a bank for a loan, yourself personally, which can be financially stressful, a VC or investor of some kind, which gives them leverage over you and changes the entire existence of your company, you know? So how do you make sure you actually make money? It's like, well, if you buy something for $1 and sell it for 10, that's a good start. But okay, when you're selling it for 10, how did you sell it? Did you run a Facebook ad and it cost you $20 to acquire the customer? Okay, well, really, then you sold it for 21. You know, and people don't look at acquisition and marketing costs when they consider this kind of stuff. And that's by far the largest cost for us. It doesn't cost as much to make our stuff. It doesn't cost as much to ship it or fulfill it. It's not trivial. It's, sizable percentage of the margin is 10 to 30%, depending on the product. But yeah, we still have that 70% or something margin left over. So if we can sell you a $40 product for $20 on Facebook, we're going to make money. If it costs us $50, we're going to lose money. However, again, ours is a repeat product. So even if we did lose $10 on the first bottle, if you come back and it's another $40 and it only costs us 10 to get to you, then we make 30 on the next and then we're profitable. So there's a lot of kinds of ways to look at it. But yeah, you should try to get your unit economics as low as possible, or sorry, gross profit margin as high as possible with your cost of goods sold as low. That's why software is great. Like once you build it in an app store, it's like one additional download of an app basically doesn't cost you anything. One additional bottle sold for me costs the bottle, the ingredients, the manufacturing, the fulfillment. It can be $7 to $10 to ship it to you for free. So you really have to know the numbers, because at the end of the day, like, the numbers will be real whether or not you're paying attention to them. And all of a sudden you'll have to figure out, what do I do? Cash flow is another thing that people don't focus on in startups nearly enough. I've helped mentor like a ton of startups. They think, okay, great, I will spend $1 and I'll make $4. But it's like, but you'll make $4 over 2 years, let's say, with your subscription model. So you're spending $1 and you're making, let's say, a couple of cents every month. It's like you need 6 months to recoup that $1. So that's not very good for growth, because you spend $1,000. Okay, you need to wait 6 months to get that back. Basically, you just need to raise a ton of money, acquire customers, and then wait. Like, that's not a great business model. You want spending the money to come back to you quickly, hopefully before, within a month, because you usually can put Facebook ads and stuff on a credit card. So we have it where basically we recoup a lot of the money that we spent on ads within the first 30 days. So that's those sales go directly to paying off that card we put the ad on. So our credit card bills are pretty small. So we can fund that for growth. Then the next month, the more money, the profit comes in, et cetera. And then it's easier. So unit economics, but also cash flow. How fast does the money come back into your account? And so with repeat customers, it's amazing, but you need to make sure it's not like $1 a month. You need to make sure it's like as much as you can up front, as much as you can month 2, as much as you can month 3, etc.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to address that exact same topic, because there's something, especially lately, companies are, going through this, and is that it's not so much the cost per customer acquisition cost versus the ROAS, let's say. It's probably cost per customer acquisition cost versus the lifetime value, but that creates a dilemma, which is, hey, what about cash flow? So option one, as you said, hey, raise money or have enough money so you can cover for those months. What's the option two? Of course, ideally, if your business model allows you to do so, you can recoup some money on the first month. But what if it's in your case, for example, a monthly subscription that probably with the price point for that first month is not going to be enough to recover that?
No, we give it for a huge discount. We're testing 2 things. Either it's a $39 bottle. So our 2 offers are either 50%, which is $19.50, or $6, because basically we just want it to be so cheap that it's not a no-brainer. And we get a ton of signups for the $6. Now, let's say it costs us $10 to make, ship, whatever to you, right? So we get $6, but we're spending $10 to get it to you. And then we also had to acquire you for, let's say, $30. We now spent $36. Sorry, we spent $40 and got 6 back. So we're in the hole $34. Next purchase you come in, it's discounted down to 30, costs us 10. Okay. Now we made $20 in profit. Now we're in the hole only 14 month, so that's after 1 month. After 2 months, same thing. We made another 20. Okay, now we're profitable $6. It's been 2 months. We're profitable $6. Okay, that's good. Now, let's say we switch to that 50% thing. If we had the same numbers, but we got $19 up front instead of the 6, that's $13 more. That's a full month 1, like month 0 is what I call the original purchase. Now month 1, we basically break even. So that means when the credit card bill is due, we have the exact amount of money we need to pay it, which means, oh, I can just 10x our ads because I'll have 10x to pay. Basically, the credit card gives you like a month of cash flow. And I just recommend for marketers the Amex Gold because you get 4 times the points on digital ads. So I have like a ridiculous amount of Amex points because, when you're running tens of thousands of dollars a month on Facebook ads, like you get 4 times that. So I don't know. I haven't paid for a flight in years. It's great. That's just a separate little thing. I wish someone had told me because I didn't have that card until recently. But yeah, so it's about cash flow. You never want credit card debt. The credit card is just because, Facebook one time accidentally charges $20,000 because someone else on their thing that had nothing to do with us, some other account somehow used our card. They gave access to our card to a different account. It was Facebook's fault. It wasn't like someone was scamming us. And so Amex was just like, yeah, these are clearly fraudulent. Next day they were just gone from our thing. So you always want to use a credit card for fraud protection, things like that. Amex is great with that. The points are nice. And then also obviously the cash flow, right? I get 4 to 6 weeks to pay off that card. So again, if we do have an ad on the 1st of the month, I don't have to pay that off until like the 9th of the next month. So that's about, 5+ weeks. We will have gotten the initial sale and then the 1 month re-up sale. So we'll have all that revenue to pay it off. And then all of a sudden what we have there is a free acquired customer on a subscription who will pay us off. So that's how we handled it. It was kind of like brick by brick. Okay, how do we get people to give us as much money up front? How do we get them to come back for a second bottle? How do we come back for a third bottle? Okay, after 2 bottles, we think you like us. Let's sell you our second product. Let's sell you our third product at this point. Hey, you love our facial serum, take 50% off or whatever. Because once you have a customer, huge discounts are fine because you're not paying to acquire them anymore. They're already acquired. All it is an email that costs like 2 cents to send them. If they like your product, if they're your second product, great. They'll buy it. It's all margins, right? We have huge margins. So giving someone a 50% off discount, we still probably make $20 on our second product in profit. Not in revenue.
So for everything you're saying, it's very important that I love the audience to understand that the retention game is really important nowadays more than ever because acquiring customers is not as cheap as before. I don't know if ever cheap, but now it's more expensive for sure, right? And the costs. Yeah. And you need to level up the marketing and everything we said in the beginning of the conversation for it to work. I mean, for a business to work, you need to have offers on the back end, whether that's a subscription, bundles, cross sells, upsells, etc. So that needs to be in place. So how do you guys get recurring revenue from the same customers besides having Recharge or any other app to generate the subscription? Marketing wise, what do you guys do?
So the first thing is I consider there 2 different complete sections of our company. The first is, how do we get one of our products in a customer's hand? That to me is marketing, right? It's the ads, whatever. Any company can do that. Not any company, but companies can do that well, right? They can have an ad. They can have a great looking guy with a good looking girl, whatever. They sold you, you liked it. You liked their wording. They were funny, like Dollar Shave Club's viral ad or a million other copycats like Dr. Squatch. So you get the product and then you use it. That to me, when you get the product and use it, that's the second entire part of the company. Basically, if it doesn't work, you're done. You're out. You're never going to buy it. You might even return it. So you need the retention game is all about, now that you have our product in your hand, we can't BS you with ads and emails and this, it better work. So that is why I stress making a product that is just way better in every way. Our pump, I went through 30 pumps to make sure that the one that distributed the serum the right way, the size, the glass bottle, the labels don't peel off, the whatever, A to Z, the product. And then obviously the formula, I made 200 versions of it until it worked really well. So once we get it in your hands, it's game over. Like everyone loves our formula. And so I don't need to convince you. You've used it. It works. So that's the thing. It's like, that's why if you have a really good product that also is the style of product that people will order again and again and again, right? Toothpaste. You use it up, you get more, probably the same one. We want to be that kind of a product. Your skincare, where you love it on your face, you have no facial. Okay, great. I'm going to buy it the next month. So those are two things. The product performance and product experience is retention, because I'm not going to go to a product I've already bought, see a Facebook ad and go, oh yeah, I like that. Or I don't like, I will probably buy it again if it's in my bathroom and I like it and say, oh, I'm running low, I need to get more. That's probably the way I'm going to be, gotten to do the repeat purchase. So I think of them as entirely separate things. There is some retargeting campaigns. There are obviously email marketing to get people who haven't bought in a while back and things like that. But for me, it's like, you can have a crap product, but you can have great marketing and get it in people's hands. They're just not going to buy it again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about something that we didn't cover, but I found pretty interesting about this brand. That is that, I don't know if you created a need in the market, but you made men aware of a need that was, I don't know, if hidden or it was there, but they weren't aware of. It's not that you were selling t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
You start selling something that, it's an industry that it's not that explored for men as it is for women, right? So how did you convince men to use it, so to speak?
To me, it was pretty simple. I remember I was in Miami and I was going to a party with a friend of mine. He had a pimple. And at that point, I had concealer. I had it for my nose. And so he was around the same shade. And I was just like, I am not a very embarrassed person. So I was just like, dude, just put this on. And he's like, I can't use. And I remember he, like, after I convinced him, he just did, took a little concealer, did it. And the thing basically goes away like, 75%. Like, it doesn't disappear, but it's like, he just looked at me and goes, oh my God, that's amazing. And then he went and ordered it. He like ordered it before we even went to the party, like while we were still pre-gaming, whatever. And I just remember, oh my God, like all he needed to do was try that once. All he needed was a friend saying, dude, you'll look better at a party. But it was just about the messaging. Had nothing to do with the product itself. The product itself is a cream that's your, creamy thing that dries in your skin tone. It's not feminine, it's not masculine. It like has a function. It's a utility tool. So I realized, okay, if I just kind of frame it to guys like that, what is that? Okay, does it need to give you status in your social group? You'll look better than your friends. You'll be, you'll get the girl, whatever it is, right? You'll look less younger. Your wife will compliment you more. There's always the aspirational messaging, but really what it came down to is just talking to guys like you're their friend, and it's like, hey man, like I don't need to tell you that looking better is nicer, easier, better, whatever. If you have fewer skin issues on your face, like people look at your face, I don't know, you're going to be happier. And so the message is obvious. Like, I don't need to convince guys that like looking good is nicer. I just need to tell them that skincare is another way for them to look good, and it's easy.
That's great. Hey, I mean, this was a really interesting conversation. I learned a lot, and I'm happy to hear that everything turned out fine after the accident. And everyone struggling. I mean, what would you say to everyone going through a hard situation right now, or struggling with, I don't know, a physical accident, or maybe they are, I don't know if depressed, but going through a tough situation? What could you tell them right now?
Um, I mean, look, it was very hard. Big scar on my face, but I still could live day-to-day life. It was very disheartening as far as my physical appearance, but I still could do a lot of stuff for myself. Basically, my mindset was just every day is a chance to get better. And I kind of said, okay, let me give myself a goal of a year from now. If I stay out of the sun for a year, if I do the hyaluronic acid thing, if I do all that stuff for a year, I still want to live my life during that year, of course, but like in a year, what will change? Like, okay, let me just do this stuff. It takes 2 to 3 minutes every day, the stuff that I need to do for it. And okay, after a year, scar went away. It's like, okay, if people see positive outcomes, even if they're not that close, maybe they actually like work towards them. You know, I've had friends with physical injuries, and physical therapy has taken a year or two. They've had multiple surgeries, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just about, it's not about this like grand, like I'm going to change everything. It's like, no, set a goal and make it into like chewable steps. Like, you know, day one, okay, if you want to get back in shape, it's like January 1st, don't go to the gym for 3 hours and think that's going to like, start just working out at home, do the push-ups, eating a little bit better. You know, there's always a way to improve something. And a lot of times it's not, you know, I've been burned out and started feeling like depressed or this, not necessarily like traditional depression, just like, oh, why am I getting up to do so much work? Well, it turns out when you work 40 days in a row without taking a day off, you just are tired. Your brain doesn't want to do any more work. Take 2 days off, rest a bunch. Okay, re-energized. So sometimes it's also the patterns of behavior. It's a lack of exercise. It's crappy sleep. I know when I sleep poorly, nothing makes sense to me. Everything sucks. So, you know, it could be situational. There's always something you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So to wrap up, I really like to ask the guests that come to the show about, I don't know, it could be a book you loved and you would like to recommend to the audience. It could be someone that was a mentor of yours, or it could be someone you follow or you admire in the industry that you would like to recommend to the audience. So which one is it?
Yeah, there's two books. One is very like what's it called? Philosophical. The other is very practical. So the philosophical book is called The War of Art, not the art of war, but the War of Art. It's
Okay.
a very short book. It's about this concept of resistance and how, like, when you get up in the morning and you don't want to do something, it's like this ephemeral concept of like resistance. It's really entertaining. It's really good. I recommend everyone just get it on Audible, listen to it on like 1.5 speed, and it'll take you 2 hours. So you could do it right now. The other is $100 Million Offers by Alex Hermosi. Um, he just contextualizes sales messaging better than anyone I've ever heard. Delivering value propositions, eliminating reasons for saying no. A lot of the things we were doing well, I knew that they made sense, but I didn't know why in the grander context of marketing. And I read that book and I was like, okay, there's the framework. Like, that's why that thing that we do that I knew was good, like our tagline, 30-second skincare. I knew it was good tagline, but he said, oh yeah, and you want a thing that does like, that reduces the effort and this and that. Oh, okay. We have that, thankfully, but now I know why it's working. So yeah, $100 Million Offers and The War of Art. Those are the two books I would recommend.
Yeah, that's great. To add on top of that, everyone who don't know who Alex Ramosi is, please follow him. It's
Yeah.
he is the real deal. He has accomplished so many good things. He's not some guru talking stuff. He knows what he's doing, and he
Yeah.
delivers a lot of value and for free. So it's a great read. This book was actually in the book list of last year, so it's a great one for you to go and read. And you know, for everyone listening or watching this episode, remember that you can go to fitgrowthmachine.com, find the episode, and there you will see the full notes, including these book recommendations as well as all the information about Jake. So, Jake, I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for being here. And please tell the audience where they can go to find out more about you and the company.
Yeah, so Krete, Krete.club, CLUB. You can find all our stuff there. You can always email me at jake@krete.club. I answer my emails every day. I have a bunch of people from podcasts and things email me questions, and I always try to answer. My general attitude is if it takes me 5 minutes to answer a question and it saves you, a month or two of mistakes and wasted money. I want entrepreneurs to build cool stuff. Like, the world is better with more people challenging the powers that be and building cool stuff that they own. So yeah, Crete.club. we have crazy intro offers on our products. So, you know, you can basically try them for no risk. They are the absolute best skincare products. And honestly, like, it's so easy to use them that you should just use them.
Awesome. It was a pleasure to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.